Hello everyone, welcome back to Kirklees Guitar School. In today's acoustic guitar lesson, I'm going to teach you how to play Jolene. So, a couple of caveats before we get into today's class. I've taught this song over 3 levels, so I want you to use the chapters feature down below. There's 3 versions that I'm going to give you so that you can scale this to wherever you're at. We've got a version with the basic chords that we're just going to strum through it. We've got a mid-level version with an introductory strumming pattern, and then the advanced version, which is my best guess of what they're doing on the record. And we'll talk about the record because there's 2 guitar parts on both steel string and nylon string that sort of weave in and out of each other. And my best guess is I'm sort of trying to distill that down into one sort of master version so you can play along with the record at home. All these can be downloaded for free from either the first link in the description or the second link. The first link is our private Facebook community, which you can join completely for free, and every tab I've ever done there is in the file section. I do encourage you to work on to get the tabs and download them because it's really going to help you get through this lesson. If Facebook's not your thing, head to the second link in the description and that you can join our email list. You'll get an email every Saturday morning with all of the tabs for that week, and I'm working on an archive which I'll send out to the email list in due course. So let's get into today's class. We've only got 3 chords for this tune, and I think I should also mention we've got a capo on the 4th fret up here. Okay, so we've got A minor, G, and a C chord. Sounds lovely with the cap on the 4th fret. Now all I'm going to do to start with, this very first version, this very first kind of iteration that we're working on is aimed at beginners. If you've been playing sort of between sort of like around the 12-month mark. If this is a little bit easy for you, use the chapters feature down below, and as the lesson progresses we get progressively more difficult. So the piece is in 2/2 time, which basically means we're going to strum each chord 2 times before we move on to the next one. So while the record's going, which we're going to break down later on by the way, there's a whole chapter dedicated to that. All I want you to do to begin with, now I'm going to use my thumb. If you want to use a plectrum, it's completely up to you. Horses for courses, I'm not bothered. But all I want you to do is I want you to strum. Just keep the pulse. So the riff will be going etc. And we're just going to stick on that A minor chord. Now, although there's 4 bars of A minor, it kind of lulls you into a false sense of security. It does move quite fast in this piece. So get that under your fingers, have a quick go at that. If you're okay, let's start talking about the chorus. Now, there's 2 sort of main sections to this song. There's the verse and the chorus. Now, the chorus is Jolene, Jolene. That's the chorus part. And then when she's telling the story, it's the verses. And the structure is chorus, verse, chorus. He says verse, chorus, chorus, and then back to the intro. Now, the intro's just that lick over A minor that just goes round and round and round. So what we're going to do here, you'll start hearing hopefully you can hear the song while playing that. Jolene, Jolene, Jolene. 2 downstrokes per bar, no fancy business, no strumming pattern, we're just kind of holding the fort with downstrokes. And that progressively kind of turns into that. So let's say, and you've got repeat markers here, this section's repeated twice. So we're going to go A, C, G, 2 bars of A minor, 2 bars of G, 4 bars of A minor. Now while you're strumming those bottom 4 bars of A minor, you should hear that lick coming in and out. Pause the video and get that under your fingers. That's the first of 2 parts for the sort of easier rhythm section, what I want you to work on. And then the verse is identical in the way that it's played if you just compare the 2. You've got chorus and verse, and they are very, 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 very similar. A lot of country music and a lot of the sort of really top drawer acoustic country music, it's all about the story that they're telling, and there's just a couple of little, there's an odd bar here or there that's a little bit different, but that's exactly the same as we played the chorus. A, C, G, just one bar of A minor, 2 bars of G, 4 bars of A minor. And you're going to basically spend the remainder of the song ping-ponging between the chorus and the verse. So if you're in that camp where you're just getting going, I'd like you to take the first of the 3 transcriptions, which is the 2-pager, Jolene Capo 4, and I'd like you to start at the top and just work your way through it and see if you can strum through the entire song. So you've got the intro goes round twice, the chorus goes round twice, the verse goes round 4 times, the chorus goes round twice, the verse goes round twice, the chorus goes round twice, and then the intro, and you do what's called loop to fade, which basically just means you're just going to go round and round and round and round. Now, when I say repeats, can you see the chorus? Can you see these funny looking brackets? So at the start of bar 5, you've got the open bracket, and then down at the bottom, you've got the closed bracket. What that tells us to do is to do that whole section 2 times before you graduate to the next section. And then can you see how this verse, it says above the closed brackets at the very, very bottom that we're going to do that 4 times. There's 4, you're going to go around that entire phrase. I think it's a 10-bar phrase. You're going to go around that 4 times before you go to the chorus again. And you're just going to zigzag through the piece to that point. Right, so that's the beginner version. We haven't done any finger picking yet. So the mid-level version, which is the second of the PDFs, which is titled Jolene Capo 4 mid-level, and we're starting to look at tabs now. Now I've just got a very, very rudimentary picking pattern. Essentially, we are following the same structure that we did in the beginner's version, but we're going to add four picks to each of them. He says, it's here somewhere, there we go. Right, okay. So the intro is going to feel a little bit strange on this one, but the idea is that this is a stepping stone between being able to just strum the basic chords and be able to do something that sounds more like they're doing on the record. And this is kind of similar to my lesson on Everybody Hurts, and it's that sort of just really steady, recurring pattern. So while the guitar in the intro is going, which we're going to break down shortly, all I want you to do with thumb, index, middle and ring fingers, I'd like you to pick each note just the once, and we're using the middle 4 strings. And we don't really deviate from that rhythm, as thumb does a little bit of different work, which we'll talk about in a second. But while the guitar on the record's going, you're just going to go thumb, index, middle, ring, thumb, index, middle, ring. For the intro. Now, as we get into the chorus, the start of this tune, the chorus, you're going to do that A minor as normal. And then can you see how up here it says C? We're going to take this shape. The only one that we've got to move is this ring finger up to the 3rd fret of the A string. And what we're going to do there, I'm still picking the middle 4 strings of the acoustic guitar. So that sounds a little bit more spicy than you've got. Now whenever you go to a G in this transcription, I'd like you to fret a full G. And instead of picking the A string with your thumb, I'd like you to pick the low E string. And that's because what we call the root note, that note's a G there. And we're going to pick, just every time we play that G chord, instead of picking the A string, we're going to pick the low E string instead. We're still going to keep these 3 dudes exactly where they were. But it just adds a little bit of different texture. All 3 bars should sound like this. You see how I had to move to that G fairly quickly, didn't I? And I'm just using regular cowboy chords over here, nothing special. And if you're holding A minor, C, G, don't worry about what the numbers say in the tabs because your fingers are already in that place. Worry about the strings that you should be picking. I'd recommend pausing the video here and getting that under your fingers before we have a look at the next bit because I'm going to rattle through the rest because it's pretty much this for the remainder of the tune for the mid-level finger picking. The whole chorus looks like that. So you've got a bar of A minor, bar of C, bar of G, A minor for 2 bars, G for 2 bars, A minor. Repeat. Jolene, Jolene, Jolene. Oh, well, I can't get as high as Dolly, believe it or not. G, 4 bars of A minor. Now make sure you've got the PDF to work on here or pause the video and take a screenshot, but I don't know if you can see if I just come back over here. Look at my picking hand. It's really sort of consistent on the beat. And that's what we're striving for in fingerpicking. That's what I think a lot of novice fingerpickers don't get. It's the consistency, and all the notes need to be the same volume, most of the time the same distance apart. But it's just that sort of, it's something like Landslide, which is the next tune in this series that we're going to cover in a couple of weeks' time. You've got this sort of, you need that consistency to make it sound as kind of on point. It's like having a strumming pattern and you're not hitting the rhythm correctly. It's just the same, but instead of strumming, we're doing this. And as you can see, that theme just carries on through the verse. So we're just going to pick those middle strings: C, G, A minor, 2 bars of G, A minor. So just as before, you can see how it just mirrors what we've done in the chorus. So essentially, that sort of mid-level one is a halfway house between strumming the chords and having a look at what we're going to do now, which is the full fat kind of version. So again, I keep saying it, go get the PDF for this because I want to encourage you to make your own notes, scribble on it, highlight any notes, because I learnt this years ago and then I've come back to it for the purposes of this lesson and I missed one note and it's taken me all week to try and get that back in. So if you're going to learn this, take your time, and it's bloody fast on the record, but you'll get it. You've just got to keep going round and round and round it. And little riffs like this, every time I walk past a guitar this week, I've picked it up and gone. Now, granted, it's only the past couple of days that it sounds like that, and you're looking to sort of iron out all of the creases, and it'll start off and there'll be a lot of creases, but the more that you go up, because it's not necessarily the total amount of time practice, it's how often you come back to something, and it's little and often. I've practiced this quite a lot this week, but I don't think I've practiced it for any more than probably 20 minutes in one go, but I might have looked at it 3 times during the day. So this is what we are up against. So this is the main riff that everybody wants to learn. It's all based around an A minor, but we're actually, for the first bar, we're going to play this A minor shape, but we're going to take the index finger off. Because I don't know if you can see, here we've got an open B string. Now what I'm going to do, with the thumb and the middle finger, I'm going to pluck the A and the G strings. Now bearing in mind, holding this A minor with the index finger taken off, all of my fingers currently up until this point are in the right position. So I'm going to pick the A and the G strings with my thumb and my middle finger to get that nice octave. Following that, I'm going to play index, middle and ring fingers. And can you see how they're all in quavers? They're all the same distance apart, so I'm pinching both. And then I pick those dudes. Can you see what I'm doing over here? I'm trying to sort of contort myself so that you can see. Then can you see this these little X's? What that means is I'm just going to tap the guitar. Now I'm using my index, middle and ring fingers, and I'm just tapping the strings with those fingers. You can do it with your thumb if you want and do the sort of John Gom thing. It doesn't matter, as long as you're creating a percussive kind of slap. And it sounds really good to give it a good thwack, but on the record they're not. If anything, it's more to mute the strings, but I can hear a little bit of the strings hitting the bottom of the fretboard. While you're doing that, we're now here. I'm going to completely remove that A minor shape, and then with the index and the ring fingers, I'm going to pick the D and the D and the B string. And with this hand, I'm going to hammer on the first fret of the B and the second fret of the D string. Now you'd be tempted to do the full A minor chord, but it gives you a sound that's not on the record. Just practice those two notes. So I'm picking those notes with the index and the ring finger, open, and then hammering onto those notes. Pause the video and get that under your fingers to start with. If you're feeling confident, we're moving over into the second bar, and I've completely let go now. And the next 4 quavers are all open strings. So thumb on the A string, ring finger on the B, index, and then middle on the D and the G. Now from experience, I said earlier about one note that caught me out. It was this bugger here. As soon as you've made connection with that first and second fret, your thumb wants to be moving up to the A string. Yeah, now there's no time at all. So that's including all these open strings. Then what I'm going to do, in a similar vein to what we kind of did over here, I'm going to press down the index finger on that first fret of the B string, and I'm going to pick that note with my ring finger while simultaneously picking the A string to create that little minor shape. And after I've done that, I'm going to pull off over here. Can you see? And then index and middle on the D and the G strings to finish that off. Whole thing. Takes quite a while. Pause the video, get that under your fingers. This is the bulk of the tune. If you can get that, this next picking pattern that sits over all the other chords is a doddle in comparison. Just chop that bit out and spend a couple of weeks working on it. It will come. And when it starts to come together, it's really addictive. You kind of cannot, you've got to play it every time you pick a guitar up. It's that we're trying to channel. So that's the main riff. Whenever you hear it come in, it starts the piece, it finishes the piece, and it actually features in both the verse and the chorus. Now, for the remainder of the chorus, this is the picking pattern that we're going to look at. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read ahead just a little bit into the beginning of the chorus like we've done with the others. This picking pattern pretty much goes through everywhere where the main riff isn't. So I'm looking at bars 1, 2 and 3, this picking pattern comes in. Then we've got the main riff, which comes in bars 4 and 5. It returns for those 2 bars of G, and then the main riff comes back for the bottom 4 bars. So let's have a look at this picking pattern over an A minor chord. So with the thumb, I'm going to pick the low E string. I'm going to pick the A string. And then with the thumb is going to move down, because we've got a bit of a Travis picking kind of thing going on. So you pick the A string, and then we move the thumb down to the D string, and we pluck the D string and the B string at the same time. And I'm picking that B string with my middle finger. My thumb then comes back up to the A string, and I finish. Can you see how I've borrowed this from the previous version? So you got bass note, bit of harmony, bass note, and then the remainder of the notes. Watch my fingers. Now you can use your ring finger or your middle finger for that B string. The middle finger feels more comfortable to me, but I won't be mad at you for doing it the other way either. Get the pattern under your fingers, but don't kind of sit on that A minor for too long, because otherwise you start kind of doing some negative muscle memory, because it literally moves every chord. So we're going to take that pattern, the A minor, C. Now, do you remember with the G note, the bass note moved on that G chord, didn't it? Well, this is no exception. So instead of picking the bass notes on the A string, whenever we're playing a G chord, it's going to come up to the low E string. And that jump from the low E string to the D string for the following bass note might feel a little bit strange, but you've got it. All 3 bars. Pause the video and get that under your fingers. If you're feeling fairly confident, that the top 3 bars on this slide are identical to what we've just covered. But then can you see how in bars 4 and 5 the riff comes back in? So what I'd like you to do, if you can, pause the video again and try and do those 3 bars with the new picking pattern and then bolt the riff on in bars 4 and 5. I'll play the whole thing for you. I'll play those 5 bars for you. And then can you see how we revert to that G chord, 2 bars of the old picking pattern, and then we do the riff twice. Play the whole thing for you. Now what I'll do is I'm just going to bang this on my music stand and I'll play it for you so you can see my fretboard, because there's quite a lot going on here, isn't there? So same place, A, C, G, riff, G, riff. I'll do it while not trying to explain it because it is a little bit fiddly. Now that, pause the video, get it on your fingers. That's what I've just played for you. And it'll come to no surprise that the verse is exactly the same format. The only thing that's different with this is there's no kind of riff in the middle. Can you see here on bars 4 and 5 the comes in. Here it just finishes with the riff, so you've got A, C, G. It does A minor normally, 2 bars of G, riff. Okay, I've run out of runway. So you've got the super duper easy version where you're just strumming along to some chords, and it just gives everybody a chance to have a go. The mid-level is applying, sort of picking 4 notes consistently with the song. And then level 3, which is what they're doing on the record, we'll talk about it in a second, is gives you a little bit more of a flavour. If I was playing this on a gig, the 3rd version that I've shown you is exactly how I'd play it. Now, on the recording's got 2 guitarists panned left and right. So what that means is you've got 1 speaker in your left ear, 1 speaker in your right ear. Now, I can't remember which side's which, but you have a nylon strung guitar in one ear and then a steel strung guitar in another. So what I want to do is just to show you, because this is my excuse for having all these guitars. How does that sound on nylon string? Completely different sound, isn't it? These are a little bit more forgiving on your fingers as well. I've been playing this all morning and I'm starting to kind of get a bit burnt out on it. I don't know if you can tell, but my fingers are quite sore. And oftentimes for finger picking, I like to do it on a nylon string because I can do it for longer without making my fingers too sore. But bearing in mind, I've been playing this for a couple of hours this morning, getting ready and transcribing for you. So on the record, the two guitarists are doing the same chords and the same kind of thing, but they're not doing exactly the same picking pattern. And I think it's a bit of a fool's errand to try and get it super duper faithful for guitar A and guitar B, because those players didn't really think like that. They had a vague pattern and they were just playing it, just how it came out is how it came out. And I think when you're playing this, it's kind of like you want to try and sort of aspire to that as well. So let me know in the comments what you thought of this. Are these deeper dives kind of working? Are you, with having the sort of beginner, intermediate and advanced levels, are you getting more out of it? Let me know in the comments. I will see you next week for another acoustic guitar lesson. Thank you so much.